Welcome to part 2 of Lost Heroes Missing Money.
Flying down there with this suspect as part of a plea agreement to try and find and recover those funds.
We knew what our dad did, but we didn't really know the danger.
We were all standing there talking, and all of a sudden that plane just went right across in front of us. Oh my God.
Joni Constantinos, Agent Mike Lynch's daughter, remembers when FBI agents came to her Illinois home to tell her family about the crash.
I remember walking home from school that day with one of my little girlfriends and kind of coming down the hill and seeing several cars parked in front of my house. And my first thought, as a 7-year-old is, well, maybe we're having a surprise party for my dad.
Agent Terry Hereford's young daughter, Mary Morgan, remembers when agents came to her family's home. Mary says it was her 4th birthday.
We were down the stairs to the left playing in the basement. I remember looking up and seeing my mother blocking an individual and another individual. So it turned out they were the FBI agents that came to inform us. But I remember that. And I remember going upstairs after they left. And my mother was on the bed crying and holding my dad's flight jacket.
Joni remembers when her mother told her and her brother that her father had died.
I came home from school and my brother Josh had already gotten home. And my mom sat us down on the chair together and she got low in front of us and just said, how Daddy went on a plane, to Cincinnati today? And we said, yes. And she said, well, there was a plane crash and everyone died. And one of us or both of us said, even Dad? And she said, yeah, even Daddy.
While working in the FBI's Chicago office, Ross Rice remembers being notified about the crash.
I can still remember sitting in the office in Chicago, an announcement came over the public address system internally that there had been a tragedy and the agent in charge was going to address the entire office so that everyone would know at the same time what happened. It would eliminate rumors and misinformation going around. And there was just a complete attitude of stunned silence that something like this would happen.
Back in Montgomery, Phyllis Nyer, who was trapped in her burning car and rescued by firefighters, suffered burns and was hospitalized for 9 weeks. She underwent surgery on her knee, which was broken in the accident.
Her recovery took quite a while. It took about 1.5 years. She was totally recovered, but she came home after a number of weeks in the hospital. And then it was a recovery, and then it was quite traumatic the first time I took her out after the accident. And she just broke into tears no matter where we were. And it was just a lot of pressure for her she had bandages all over her face and all over her legs and all over her arms.
The Shepherd bookstore was so badly damaged in the crash that the old house was torn down 2 days after the accident.
When that airplane hit that building, it knocked the building 1.5 feet off the foundation. The whole building literally slid off of the rock foundation that was on. So and that was just from the explosion.
Our city manager at the time, Dean Sterling, he had ordered that the house be destroyed, and because it was a public nuisance right off the bat. So within the first couple days, they brought in some demolition equipment and had the house razed and taken away.
The old farmhouse was built in 1814. The Shepherds had operated a bookstore in the building for 17 years before the crash happened. It took a wrecking company about an hour to tear down what was left of the home. Joseph Shepherd passed away about 2 years after the crash. His wife, Olga, had opened another bookstore in Mount Adams. She died in 1989. Today in Montgomery, a small office building now stands where the Shepherd bookstore once stood.
In December 2007, 25 years after the crash, the city of Montgomery held a memorial service to honor the FBI agents that were killed in the accident.
One of the things at the 25th anniversary service that we had at St. Barnabas was everybody was telling their stories in front of the church with a microphone, and Mr. Nyer said, "Is Frank Lerner here?" Frank stood up in the church, and he said, "I've never got to meet you or thank you for saving my wife's life." So 25 years later, the two of them finally made that connection.
Firefighter Frank Lerner remembers seeing the Nyers at the memorial service.
She and her husband were there then, and that was the last time I had contact with them, and they were just so appreciative. And, they kept asking, "What can we do something for you?" I was doing my job. I'm glad that she's safe, and I know she went through quite a bit with her burns.
He was a lifesaver. He saved her life totally. She couldn't have made it without him pulling her out of the car. It was totally on fire.
Through the years, there have been various memorial services for the agents.
Every year, the FBI Retired Agents Association, on the death anniversary date of an agent, someone will go and place a flag on the agent's grave.
Mary shared her thoughts about her father, Terry Hereford. She says she can remember sitting on his lap watching the Chicago Bears play football. Agent Hereford was a Vietnam veteran who received a Purple Heart. He was an FBI agent for 3 years before his death.
He was a hero. I mean, he was very driven to do the right thing. That was my dad. That's what I remember. That's what all of us kind of have within ourselves that we got from him, was this fierce feeling of needing to do the right thing always. I mean, my dad, went to Vietnam. He has a Purple Heart. He went to serve his country. He had this desire to do the right thing. He was beloved by the rest of the family, by, my aunts, and he just had this charismatic way about him that people were drawn to.
Joni remembers her father, Mike Lynch, as a man who protected the family and enjoyed making homemade ice cream for his children. Agent Lynch served with the FBI for 6 years before his death.
I felt different and a little bit weird because most everyone had 2 parents and I didn't. And as I got to be older and have children of my own, it hit me from all different angles, from, from my mom's point of view, losing her husband and having to raise kids on her own. And from my dad's point of view, I see my husband, and how close he is to our girls, and thought, my gosh, what you missed out on. And then as I see my own girls and at the age I was, I think, wow, that's how old I was. And you guys have all these memories of your dad, and I don't.
Ross remembers the 4 agents as his friends.
They were all wonderful guys. They were all people that if you knew them, and this happened, you would want to sit down after work and have a beer with them, or be involved with them socially, which I was with Mike. And it's like losing a good friend. And it just is... even talking about it today is difficult.
While Phyllis was badly hurt, she survived the crash. Phyllis and her husband, Don, were married for 63 years. Phyllis Nyer died in 2016. There are now more than 100 members of the Nyer family.
My whole life was with her, and by the time I was an adult, we got married when she was 21 and I was 22. And so we had a lot of good time together, and that accident really it didn't separate us at all. It maybe strengthened our marriage, but it was just quite a traumatic thing. But it certainly didn't do anything to diminish our love for each other.
Everybody did such a good job. It's hard to single out anybody at all. I mean, everybody knew there was a job to be done. Everybody did their job. And at the end of the day, those that we could save got saved. I think there couldn't have been a better group there than was there.
The Montgomery Fire Department and firefighters and paramedics from nearly a dozen other departments responded to the crash. Police departments from Montgomery and officers from other departments helped secure the accident scene.
Lost in the crash were FBI agent and pilot Terry Hereford, agent and co-pilot Robert Connors, agents Michael Lynch and Charles Ellington.
Terry Burnett Hereford was born in Pomona, California. Agent Hereford was a Vietnam War veteran of the U.S. Army who had received a Purple Heart. He had served with the FBI for 3 years. Agent Terry Hereford was married with 4 children.
Robert W. Connors was born in Lima, Ohio. Special Agent Connors was a U.S. Air Force veteran and had served with the FBI for 4 years. Robert Connors was married with 4 children.
Michael James Lynch was born in Dayton, Ohio. Special Agent Lynch was a U.S. Air Force veteran, and he had served with the FBI for 6 years. Michael Lynch was married with 4 children.
Charles Lawrence Ellington was born in Atlanta, Georgia. He served 4 years in the Marines. Agent Ellington entered the FBI in December 1979 and worked in Atlanta before transferring to Chicago, where he was assigned to white-collar crimes. Charles Ellington was married with 1 daughter.
Carl Henry Johnson, the accused embezzler, was also killed in the crash. He left behind a wife and 3 children. Retired Chicago police detective Patrick Daly, who was hired by Johnson's lawyer to escort him to Ohio, was also killed in the crash.
The FBI says the crash was an accident. Investigators say there were indications that the aircraft encountered altitude readout problems, which may have caused it to fly at a low altitude. The secret location of the money may have died with Carl Henry Johnson that day. The FBI has never said where the missing money is. Johnson's lawyer reportedly told his client to lead agents to the money and not disclose its location beforehand. While over the years people have tried looking for the missing money, no one has ever reported finding it.
Thank you for listening to Lost Heroes Missing Money. We leave you with thoughts from Joni Constantinos and what she wants everyone to remember about law enforcement and officers everywhere.
When a member of law enforcement gets up and goes to work, they absolutely don't know if they're coming home. We need to honor them and acknowledge the sacrifice that they and their families make. These people are there when we need them. They're the ones running into the buildings when everyone's running out. And I just think that regardless of what's going on in the world, we need to really remember that these are people, they're heroes every day, and their families sacrifice a lot. It's not an easy job. We need to just really be thankful.